what we started. Parties involved in a GDR issue are lead managers, and lead managers are investment bankers who are going to be conducting roadshows or marketing the issue. We call it as conducting roadshow, right? They are going to talk about the issuing company. They are going to project a picture of issuing company, the industry it is into, how it is working now, what are the strengths and what are the future prospects, etc. And a depository is also, this is a lead manager is appointed by the issuing company. Depository is also appointed by the issuing company, and depository is usually a bank and in America, and this is going to convert the physical shares of the company into depository receipts. So the issuing company is going to appoint it. Issuing company is going to surrender all the shares that it intends to issue to the investors abroad. And once these shares are surrendered to them, it is a responsibility of the depository to convert it into electronic form, and investors will be receiving or getting depository receipts allotted to them. Right? Now, what is the depository going to do with the physical shares? It is going to appoint a custodian, which is usually a bank, and it is going to give the custodian for safekeeping of the physical shares. And now all these depository receipts are, the depository shares are called as American depository share. Now we'll talk about clearing system. What is the job of a clearing system? Clearing system has to ensure that there is proper clearance of the allotment of the issue. Like, for example, if it's going to be like someone has to get it allotted, it has to go through the clearing agent. Like we have in India, NSCCL, National Securities Clearing Corporation Limited, clearing company. So, whereas you have in European countries, you have Euroclear, and there is Depository Trust in USA, Trust Company. They do the job of clearing corporation. They are going to look into if the securities are cleared. Like for example, even later on in the secondary market, somebody buys, somebody sells. So they all pass it on through a broker, right? From this broker, has it actually reached the respective beneficiary? That has to be checked in by the clearing system. This happens in the clearing system. There is also CIDL in London. Now talking about steps in GDR issue. What are the steps in GDR issue is approval for the board of the company for GDR issue. And then it has to appoint various agencies like book runner, global coordinators, underwriters. We forgot to mention about underwriter, and I'm going to have it as a fifth point here. Right? Who's an underwriter? Underwriter is also usually a merchant banker who is paid for his service. Right? Underwriter's job is any unsubscribed portion of the share is going to be subscribed by the underwriter. Am I clear about this? Like for example, I wanted to issue 100 shares, raise capital, but subscription has been received only for 80 shares. So the remaining 20 shares or 2 depository receipts will be purchased by the underwriter himself, so that the issue is fully subscribed. If the issue is already fully subscribed, the underwriter only gets his fees. He doesn't have a role to play now. I hope I'm clear about this, right? And then the company has to appoint international lawyers, local companies lawyers, auditors, international depository, etc. It has to first seek the approval of the board of the companies for GDR issue, existing shareholders, board of directors, everything. And then it has to appoint various agencies like your lead manager, depository, book runner, global coordinators, underwriters, international lawyers, local companies lawyers, auditors, and international depository. And it has to organize meetings, management presentation with regard to features, prospects of the GDRs. And it has to commence financial, business, and legal attentiveness. And then finalize the offer memorandum. After doing all these things, it has to print, file, and red herring offer memorandum and submit the red herring memorandum to Indian stock exchanges like BSE, NSE, SEBI, registrar for record purpose. Now, and then it has to obtain primary listing and preliminary listing approval, and then it has to also print all the prospectus, red herring memorandum, and all those things. And it has to arrange for roadshows for book building. And now complete the roadshow, signing, pricing, meeting, and finalizing all the allocation to investors, allotment of underlying shares and GDRs, closing all activities related to it, and file the final offer document with SEBI and Indian stock exchanges, listing of shares at the local stock exchange. Now see, let me just summarize what I said. Now first, it has to get an approval from the board that it is going to raise capital, and this, once the board approves, it will go ahead with the raising of capital. So now what has happened, once it has got approval from the board, it is going to proceed with appointing these people like your lead manager, depository. Depository will appoint the custodian, clearing system. Clearing system has to automatically be in the system, so they don't need to appoint it. And then they are going to also appoint lawyers. I mean, they already have in the local land, they already have domestic land, they already have lawyers, trustees, everybody. But then they will have to appoint them there also. And finalize a lot of documents that they are going to print. And then they are going to help the lead managers, or they are going to see how they conduct the presentation as for book building. You know, I hope you know what book building is. The prices are in such a way that, like for example, $5 to $10. I ask investors to subscribe. So the majority of the subscriptions that I have received from investors is $8. So people are willing to buy my depository receipts at $8 per depository receipt. So that will be the final price. So this is called as book building process. And I will arrange for this, complete this, finalize the price, and I will start allotting the GDRs. I'll have to be, these are the steps. I mean, the depository will start allotting the GDRs, and then it will finally close all the activities once all GDRs have been allotted to the investors. And then finally, it has to also get listed with the local exchange, and it will also arrange for listing with the foreign stock exchanges so that it can be traded. So if the equity capital is raised from America, it is called as ADR. And if it is, and every single share is called as ADS, American Depository Shares, and they will be a collection of American Depository shares which will be put together and converted into depository receipt. Today we spoke about how a company can raise capital from the international financial markets, equity capital. There were two types of equity capital. We have already discussed about FDI, but then I will still be covering it. And when it is going to be long-term equity, it is going to issue GDR as it cannot issue direct shares, right? As it cannot issue shares and raise capital, it is going to convert it to depository receipt. It's going to appoint a depository there whose responsibility is to convert this to depository receipt and issue it to the investors. And then we saw who are the parties involved and what are the steps involved, what are the features involved in depository receipt issues. I hope I am clear. Is there any doubt?